So today I have this stuffed bell pepper, steak, cheese, rice, onions, the works. And I got me a little Caesar salad. I love me a Caesar salad. I don't know what it is about a Caesar salad, but it do it every time for me. I love a simple salad, y'all. I really do. It do it for me every time. Let me move y'all back, cause move y'all back a bit. Okay. I don't want to be up all up in y'all grill. I should have got a knife so I can cut into this, but we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work. This is a pretty decent, healthy kind of meal. This is I could have did steak over rice and everything like that, but I would have had more of a portion of rice than anything. Didn't want to do that. I love stuffed bell pepper. As I've gotten older, as I've gotten older, I love my my veggies. I got my avocado on my loaded pepper. I'm gonna put some of this house. Go ahead and just caveman it. It is a bit messy, but it's gonna get ate. I'm not playing around. So I want to talk about some stuff. So I'm facing forward, y'all. Sometimes I have a problem with facing frontward. But I wanted to come here. I'm probably just gonna use my hands, y'all. One thing come up here, I want to talk about some things. One thing in particular, the avocado on top of that loaded bell pepper is everything. So, CMA and Queen, at this time, I will say, I can say on one person's end, because I saw it, I heard it. I actually heard it today, I heard it from both ends, but we'll get into that. That, this is the end of the road, basically. You know what I mean? I'm putting it in different words. This is just basically the end of the road. A lot has happened. A lot has transpired, right? So I'll say this. I will truly say this. I feel like things could have been handled a lot different because of the things that were said, the things that have been blown out of proportion. I feel like the situation was a fraction of any problem that anybody has dealt on YouTube. And I felt like this was a quick fix with two individuals who have been friends for a very long time. And regardless of being friends for a very long time, I feel like this was a quick fix between two grown adults. I feel like the situation became to a complete turn when personal business started being put out there. or when conversations started being brought up when where people did not want to speak about those conversations. So at the end of the day, I understand that people cannot tell people what to talk about on their channel and stuff like that. That is perfectly fine. But also you have to respect other people's wishes. You cannot be upset when people get off your panel or you're being or you're or somebody does not like what you're speaking about, especially when it's pertaining to them or something they told you behind the scenes, then you don't get to make the reaction for that person. That person makes their own reaction. That person gets to react how they want to. Mike, you have brought a lot of people into this situation, and you can say that you did and didn't. I know that you have because I listen and I watch, and I can pull receipts on that. But you are totally wrong because you started mentioning personal things between you two. You did that. Now, when Queen the Queen came out, she was coming out and saying how hurt she was and what she basically did. But it seems like both of y'all were hurt on both ends, which me personally, I didn't really get into it, but I had noticed the patterns with you that you would come up on YouTube and you would have this discussion. You had a discussion, Upward was on the panel, and you were talking about how you could drag her and everything like that, but you still slightly did because you brought up her marriage, you brought up personally had told you, and then you also brought up me. And so that's another thing. Nobody's not checking you, but when I asked you, please don't bring me up because you have repeated past and old stuff as if it's still an issue because you said in one breath and you was like, that's just like how you let them convince you that I wasn't going to help you with the hot dogs and stuff. Us, the people who assisted Queen the Queen with those hot dogs and those things, we did that out of what was explained and told to us behind the scenes. Now you can reiterate any story how you want to, but I know the real, Queen know the real, and whether you don't want to believe it or not, or you don't want to go by the truth, then that's fine and dandy because I've known you long enough to know that you do have a way of trying to change up a story. And if it's going to work in your favor to make you look like you're not the bad guy, then you do just that. But that's how you push people away from you. Because, and then also, nobody's bringing up the past stuff. And so that's why when I was like, Mike, can you please stop bringing me up? I had came in that chat a couple of days ago and told you to stop bringing me up when you went live, and then you was like, oh, telling me basically that you can mention anything or whatever, but you have been mentioning the past situations and stuff like that, and saying that Queen was convinced by the people who helped her to get her the hot dogs. At the end of the day, you wanted to assist her. If you still want to be a part of the book support, you would have just done just that. You know what I mean? So nothing that we've sent her had anything to do and did not intervene with you being a helping hand. Now, for anybody that says, Shelby, you're bringing up old stuff. No, I'm not bringing up old stuff. But since other people want to bring up old stuff, I don't have an issue with clarifying that. But I already know how this is going to go because I know how CMA works. You know what I'm saying? And this ain't no dig at him, but I know that CMA will express a story whether he has to say it in a way that's going to make him look good at the end. I don't give a fuck how I look on this motherfucker. We can just go ahead and wrap that right the fuck on up. I've been through too much on here. My personal life is more in shambles than on this weak ass YouTube shit. And that's why I don't understand how CMA took it to the level of where he took it. Because now you're bringing up personal stuff. You bringing up personal stuff when it comes to this person that you claim to be your friend for for 30 years. You have also mentioned that that's been your friend of 30 years. You have also stated, the positivity and the history of you and Queen and Queen's relationship. Not only her, both of you guys have done it. But what I have not seen Queen do is bring up any personal information. You have brought up personal information. You took digs at her husband. And I also did not appreciate and did not like and didn't appreciate, because it's a bad look. You know what I mean? This is me saying it's a bad look. I'm saying that. You know what I mean? Because I'm only going to be honest about it. And I know Queen and Queen has that video private, but Queen and Queen had came up on the panels and have been advocating for herself. let me take that back. Queen did an additional live to advocate for herself because she wanted to clear up some of the things that you have been saying that were not true. You cannot fault that woman for doing that. Mind you, CMA, and you know this, and so if you don't remember or you were too intoxicated to remember, you have been mentioning her throughout some of your videos. You have done multiple videos on her, mentioning her. But not only are you mentioning her, you're mentioning personal things about her that has nothing to do with the situation. You know what I mean? So if we were going to stay on topic, you would not have mentioned nothing that was going on in her personal life. Correct. Also, Michael Stovall would not have been mentioned. Me would have been mentioned. You know, because you say certain things in a way where it's like you're trying to prove a point, but you can't prove a point when you're doing the same things that you are trying to throw the same person underneath the bus. Prime example, Mr. Stovall. You have thrown him underneath the bus about him talking about Queen and her marriage and her husband, but you did the same thing. You also went to the extent to even talk about her brother. Let me make this clear. So for anybody who was listening to that live, that Queen private for her family and for her, when Queen and Queen's brother came up on that panel that happened this weekend, and this happened on Sunday, when Queen and Queen was trying to extend the olive branch to CMA and trying to reconcile with CMA, which obviously we said did not go there. And then her brother came up and her sister came up, and the first thing CMA did when Queen and Queen's brother came up was go into how Queen and Queen had basically told personal information and stuff about her brother to him. That was the first thing you did. And it's immature of you to do something like that because he was being very calm. He was willing to listen to you. He was willing to see if he could try to be of assistance to reconcile y'all's relationship, just like how I've seen you've allowed Upward on your panel to see if she can kind of reconcile. Because I'll say it again, I feel like this situation has went and has surpassed it being about Upward. At this point, it's not about Upward. And you have made it not about Upward because you are putting out personal information that she has given you, which should have never been brought out to the YouTube streets. Now with Queen as well, she came out and she had said, you know, that you have spoken about your subscribers. This is nothing new. Queen and Queen has never told me. Queen and Queen saying that, talking about that you have talked about your subscribers is nothing new to me. I have noticed that about you, and I've been around you long enough to know that you do talk about your subscribers. Now, as far as recently, we do not talk like that. So, of course, I don't know of any new subscribers that you are talking about or have mentioned to her. But been there, done that, down that road with you, and I see how things will always, for you always try to make sure that they work in a way to try to still make you look like the person at the end of the road who did not do nothing wrong. Hey, we're all grown here. We all make decisions. If you want to go down the road of falsely making you look like the good guy at the end of it, then you do just that. This isn't me taking a dig at you. This is me knowing that a lot of the things that Queen and Queen was saying, it's nothing new to me as long as I've been around you. But also I feel like it should have not been, it should have not gotten to the point where it should have not gotten to the point to where it has gotten between the both of you guys. But CMA, just remember that you have led this down the road to where it became personal, to where you claim you did not want to clap back on her, but you basically did because you brought up personal information that was told to you behind the scenes about her and her husband. So you can't say that. And then also when she tried to come up on your pedal to reconcile with her, she was apologizing to you, but it was you wanted her to apologize about the things that you felt like she did wrong to you. That's not how that works. Whatever she feels like she wants to apologize to you about, then that's just it. But also I feel like when you said she could not reach out to you and that you were done with her, you just should have just stand on just solely that. But you did not. You did not just stand on solely that. But hey, you're a grown man. You can make your own decisions. But also, you cannot fault her for coming out here and trying to defend herself because you have made multiple videos. You have made multiple videos on her. And then you have videos where it doesn't even align up to what you're talking about. And you're throwing you're throwing slugs at her. You're throwing shade at her. So remember that, okay? And anybody who did not see what happened and what has occurred after the fact and all the personal information, everything that was spewed out, You have to be an idiot to say that you did not see it. And you have to be an idiot to say that CMA did right by how he conducted himself. No, he did not. Because if he was hurt by Queen of Queen, he could have stayed on Queen of Queen and talked solely to Queen of Queen about what led them to be where they are. It had nothing to do with personal information. And also, CMA, I don't like how you waited until you got intoxicated to come out and then you wanted to talk about her. I don't understand why you had to be intoxicated for 2 days and you had to say something. That doesn't make sense to me why you had to be intoxicated for 2 days, and especially with the woman that you have been friends with for so long. I don't understand why you had to be intoxicated to come on there. And then I don't understand why you had to disrespectfully call her fat and tell her that she need to lose fucking weight and all that other stuff. I feel like all that stuff was uncalled for. If you're hurt, then just say that you're hurt. But you just going to a road that has a dead end where you will never be able to turn around from, that's something that you're just going to have to live with. Because as she was on your panel and while you were on hers, she still was trying to reason and talk to you. She never cussed at you. She never said anything nasty about you. She did not do that. But you continue to keep doing that while she was on your panel, and you did that while she was on, you did that while you were on hers. And you also got all crazy and everything like that when you were talking to her brother. And then you also have stated and said that Queen of Queen just love to talk, she'll let nobody listen. But see, man, you have that same trait. You like to talk and you don't want to let nobody else talk. And especially when you get intoxicated. And so for anybody that wants to act blind like CMA does not do that, he does. And so stop throwing off the same traits that you have, but sometimes you have it 10 times worse. And also, you even made a comment like your supporters don't support you and Queen. You have people who are neutral, but when you stated out your mouth, and whether you don't want to say you did or did it, you did. You said it. If anybody was over there, and I'm coming for y'all motherfucking ass too. So I felt disrespectful. Excuse me, I felt disrespected. I know maybe Scorpio Mama felt disrespected, and anybody else that was in there, because you brought up multiple people, which I feel like if you wanted to stay on topic and you wanted to stay on track, you just would have done just that, and you did not do that. You didn't. You did not want to reconcile anything with her. You wanted Queen to apologize about things that you felt like she did wrong to you, but at the end of the day, if she felt like she did not do that, she was not obligated to do that. And she also was not obligated to call you. Whether you wanted things to work how you want to do, it's not about you, CMA. It'll never be about you. It's about a mutual agreement. And so, as much as you wanted her to call you, you should have reached out to her. And whether you did reach out to her and you could not reach her, then that just means she did not want to talk to you at that point in time. Yep. I'm so stuffy, y'all. Ooh, I'm so stuffy. Very stuffy. This was an easy fix when it first initially happened, when y'all were on the panel together and then you dropped her and y'all had that disagreement, and then she was hurt and she wanted to do a video public. Your actions and what you said about her and the things that have personally been said, in my opinion, I feel like that's not what you want to do. I don't feel like you did not want to reconcile, because you still continue to keep talking about, well, I feel like she should have called me, and I feel like she should do this, and I feel like she's wrong, and me. But at the end of the day, it's a mutual ground, because as much as you were hurt, Queen of Queen was hurt. So it was an apology that was meant to be swapped on both ends. And at this point in time, I already know that there is no going back, and that you guys now have came to a dead end, in my opinion. But with that being said, you guys, I'm going to finish enjoying the rest of my food, and I hope you guys take care.